Hey, good morning. It's Robin and Daisy on the trail. We started this short little hike from Lake Crawford at the campground, Kings Mountain, and are hiking just to the scout camp on the National Recreation Trail. So it's a short hike, a mile out and a mile back. But I thought it would be a good opportunity to go out there and sit so I could record some hiking safety tips for a friend who asked for it. So once we get out there, I'll set up the camera and start talking about some things you can do as a solo female hiker, or anyone really, to help protect yourself on the trail. Listen, Daisy. Daisy. Is that a frog? Did you hear that? Maybe a frog. Bullfrog? That's a cute bull mushroom. I hear a buzz around me. I think that the last hike that Daisy and I went on right before I went to Michigan, she poked her nose in a hornet's nest. That was special because they were chasing her and one did sting her, and I was trying to protect her and save her, and then they wanted to swarm me. So that's a fun story. I'll tell it later. Okay, we're coming up on the scout camp. It's a nice big open area that you have to reserve, and I think the scouts come out and practice their skills at setting up tents and starting campfires and things like that. And there is a water source right here, so I'm going to see if Daisy wants some water. Come on, babe. You want some water? Okay, hello. Alright, this is just a short little video about some safety tips for solo female hikers, or anybody else who finds that information helpful. I am almost exclusively a solo hiker. I very rarely hike with anybody else for many reasons. But here's some tips of mine, just some that make sense and some that I learned by the seat of my pants. So, tip number 1, if you're hiking alone, always make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. I don't advise putting earbuds in to listen to music because you can't hear what's going on around you. And it's important to have an ear for the surroundings, because you could be listening to a person approach or an animal approach, and those are your senses that you really need to have with you. So I don't recommend earbuds, but I know a lot of people do it, and that's up to them. It's very individual, but I don't do it because I like to be aware of what's going on around me. Second, I did not used to hike with a trekking pole. I didn't find it useful, and it just kind of got in my way until I was a mile and a half out on a trail, and I got off trail and was hiking down to the river, and I stepped in some loose sand and rolled my ankle. And I knew that it was bad. I just didn't know how bad until I got back and got it x-rayed, but I actually broke it. I had bilateral avulsion fractures, both sides. So nothing that would require surgery, but it was really, really painful. And I did not have a trekking pole with me, and I was out on the trail with no signal. So I had a cell phone, but I did not have a signal out there, so there was no one I could call, and there was no one around. It was just me and Daisy. So I managed to get back out on the trail, and I did hike out 1.5 miles on a broken ankle. A trekking pole would have been a really nice thing to have, so I now hike with trekking poles. I've done 2 trekking poles, and I've done 1. I still prefer 1. So the one that I have is heavier than most. You can get ultralight trekking poles. A lot of the through hikers, people who are doing hundreds of miles, all at one time, would like to have the lightest gear possible, and I totally get that because I've done week-long hikes and light gear is important. But for safety's sake, I hike with a Zap Hike and Strike. That's called a Zap Hike in Strike. So this has got a flashlight. Yep, still working. A flashlight on the end of it. And if you take the cap off right here, it is a taser. So you turn it on right here, and I'll discharge it so you can hear what it sounds like. Yeah, I like that. So, I've not had to use it, thank goodness, and I hope I don't. But if I needed it in a pinch, I've got it. This would be more for the 2-legged variety. I don't think that it would be quite useful on a bear, but it would have to make contact, and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I like this. It's a little bit heavier than most trekking poles, but I like it, and so I hike with it. Let's see, bear spray. Yes, I like the hiking shorts and leggings that have the pockets inside. If I'm just doing a short hike or a day hike, I can stick this in the pocket and it doesn't bug me. In fact, on my longer hikes, I put it in the pockets too because it's just out of the way and it doesn't bug me. I've got little holders for these that can connect to your pack, whether it's a day pack or a heavy pack. But they swing around and that bugs me, so I like it in that side pocket. If you're going to take bear spray with you on the trail, I advise using it first to see how it works, because it is different than wasp spray or something like that. It doesn't shoot out in a stream, it comes out in a fog. So be aware of which way the wind is blowing, because if the wind's blowing towards you, it's going to come right back in your face. So try it out before you actually get out into the woods, is my suggestion. For my friend in Arkansas, you do have black bear up in that area, so not a bad idea to take bear spray with you. I have never actually seen a bear at Kings Mountain. We're just a short hike to the North Carolina border, so I'm in northern South Carolina. And while I've not seen a bear out here, I know for certain there are, because I just saw my first bear track on the hike where we got attacked by the hornets. So that was an interesting hike. And I took a photo of that. So yes, there are bear out here, even though I haven't seen them. So I will start carrying this more often. I don't usually. The other thing that's important, remember I told you that I broke my ankle on the trail and I didn't have a way to communicate because my cell phone didn't have a signal. So I've got a Garmin InReach Mini, and I wouldn't go anywhere without this now because it's invaluable, really. And I do hike the Appalachian Trail, and I have used it, not the SOS function, but it does have an SOS function if you are wounded or somebody has been injured to the point that they cannot get out from wherever you are on the trail, or someone can't get into them easily, then it's nice to have the SOS feature so that search and rescue can be notified and pickup can, get underway. So I hope that never happens while I'm out hiking, but it does happen. I have had to use this for communication on the AT twice, so that was good to have, and I won't, like I say, I won't go anywhere without this now, so it's invaluable. Just always check your equipment before you go and make sure that your battery's charged. Some kind of pack, whatever kind of pack, to carry the things that you need, like your keys and water. Please don't go out on the trail without hydration, and maybe a snack, depending on how far you're going. I also, if it's a long hike and it's really hot out, hot, humid, you're sweating a lot, I put a pack of Element, it's LMNT electrolytes in my water. Being a nurse, I do my research on the products that I'm using, and Element for me has the best ingredients to go in your water. There's a lot of some added stuff that you don't necessarily need, like sugar. You don't necessarily need sugar in your water, but you do need salt, magnesium, and potassium. And those are the three main ingredients in Element, and that's why I use it. That's vitally important to make sure that you've got water. Another thing that I take with me are bandanas. One is to help wipe the sweat off my face because I sweat like crazy and it's hot and humid out here today. Another thing is you really never know what you're going to use these for, honestly. The part of the story with the hornets and Daisy getting stung, one was on her, stinging her, and I just popped it off of her with the bandana. I felt like Linus with his blanket in Charlie Brown. Pow! And actually that's what I did with the bandana to keep the hornets off of me till we could get away from them. So you just really never know what you're going to use bandanas for until you actually get out on the trail. So I always hike with these, and more than one. What else? People on the trail. I belong to a lot of different hiking pages on Facebook, and I don't often comment, but I do read a lot of the comments, and there was a warning that somebody issued to people that were on a certain part of the AT, or the Appalachian Trail, up around Pennsylvania, I believe. They were letting hikers know that there was, a person on the trail who was disheveled and dirty and, possibly homeless, I don't know, that was out on the trail and asking for money and bugging people for food and stuff like that. I am not saying don't give somebody money, and I'm not saying don't give them food, but I am saying use your head and your gut to tell you whether or not this could possibly be a dangerous person, because not everybody hiking the trails are friendly. So you do have to be aware of, trust your instincts. If you want to give somebody food, you want to give somebody money, that's up to you. That's all for you. Personally, I wouldn't get money out in front of somebody if I was a lone female hiker. I wouldn't do that. I hear you. I'm going to come get you in just a minute, I promise. You be good. You know, if I had a protein bar or something like that in my pocket and I could just give it to them and say, okay, have a nice day, I might do that. But I don't think that I would get my money out. I think that's not a smart idea. That's just me. That's personal. Like I say, you do you. There have been incidences on trails that I know of where people have been kidnapped, murdered. You know, I won't go into specifics on this video, but you know, they've been in the papers, they've been in the news, so it does happen. Which is why I say, if you're going to go out as a solo female hiker, or even if you're with just another person, you need to have your strategy in place of, what would I do if this person did this? What would I do? Okay, I teach martial arts and self-defense, so I think about what technique would I use if somebody came at me with a knife? What technique might I use if someone waved a gun? So I think about that stuff. And if you don't currently have any knowledge of self-defense, you might want to do that. A lot of people carry guns with them on the trail, and that's great if you can get to it. There's not always time to get to a gun before someone is on you. So I am an advocate of protection, or of women learning how to protect themselves. So I would take a self-defense course, or learn, or at least learn a couple of moves that could give you 5 minutes to help save your life. I'm probably blanking out on anything right now because my dog is ready to go. So if you've got questions, hit me up in the comments, and of anything that I've forgotten, and I probably have because I can't think of anything right off the bat. And I'll come back on, or I'll answer them in the comments, or I'll come back on and do another video, and I'd be happy to do that. So everybody, happy hiking. And if you don't have the Far Out app or the All Trails app, those are two very good apps. This is the other thing I was going to say right before I get off here. Kind of know what the trail is like that you're going on. Is it an out and back trail? Is it a loop? How many miles is it? What is the terrain like? You know, if you can, try to find out that information before you actually get out there. That's a good idea. Look it up, Google it, see if you can find photos and things like that. Usually the Far Out app or the All Trails app, those are two good ones that I use, will kind of give you an idea of what the terrain is like. Okay, that's it for now. See ya. What'd you hear? Did you hear something? Hi. Also, it's helpful to know if you've got water crossings on your trail, so that you can take the appropriate footwear. These are waterproof, which is why I like them. But I also have a pair of Topos low tops that are not waterproof, but I really love these. These are cool. But I also like the Topos too, just not for, you know, water crossings, because they would be soaked, and so would my feet. What's up? This one's pretty. And a white version. Something smells really good through here. I don't know what it could be. It smells like flower, but there's nothing flowering. It's a mystery. I am just fascinated by the millions of different kinds of toadstools. Cut that off too soon. Toadstools and mushrooms out here today. There's so many different kinds. Look at this this tiny little dude right on the trail. I'm surprised you hadn't been stepped on. You going down there? All right. Kings Mountain is maybe a 45-minute drive from here to Charlotte International Airport. So it's right in the flight path of jets, and so you can always hear jets flying over out here. Personally, I know it's the mode of transportation to get from here to there, but when you're out on the trail, it's just kind of noise pollution. And we're done. Another successful hike. Okay, one last thing as we're driving out of here that's kind of important. I was hiking, was it? I don't know, it hadn't even been a year ago. I was out on the CCC trail and I got stung by a yellow jacket on my finger, on my, like the end part of my ring finger. And that hurt so bad, I can't even tell you. Felt like I'd been stung by a red hot poker. It was just so painful. And I was also a couple of miles in on that hike. I was going on an 8-mile hike, but when I got stung, I decided to turn around and go back because my hand was swelling up like a balloon. And by the time I got to the car, it was crazy swollen. So, advice to me, and I should have known better anyway, to throw some Benadryl into your whatever kind of pack you're carrying. It never hurts to have some Benadryl on hand because you just never know